something I look for in every candidate, especially everybody here, so young and fresh, is high energy. High energy, not overly like talkative, but almost like you're like me right now, leaning forward. You know, if you're in an interview, you don't get way up, you know, but lean forward, get into it, engage with the person that is interviewing you. Have confidence, look the person in the eye. All those are very important. Smile, you know, and listen. You know, listen very carefully about what's asked. I think that's important. And I would say there's a couple of hints I'll share with you guys. One is know your strengths. Know how to answer a question like, what would your professor or your boss say? Are your strengths not just what you think your strengths are, but what would they say about you? Mm-hmm. And then with that, know what you need to work on. You know, I asked the question is, you know, right after I asked, you know, what are your strengths? I always ask, well, tell me a little bit about your development needs. You know, what do you need to still work on? And don't say that you don't have anything. I've had that, and it turns me off. And it really does. So know that. You know, there's always something that everybody needs to work on, especially somebody that has this aptitude to grow and learn. And I'm looking for stuff like that. So just know.
Any time that you can communicate a personal experience and make that more memorable, and someone will remember your face or someone will remember a specific story that you've told, and it doesn't need to be from the industry. It could be growing up on the farm and dedicating yourself, or learning a new opportunity with, you know, coaching or volunteering. Making sure that when I interview and I talk to somebody, when they have a BS in chemistry, I know they've taken Chemistry 101. And I've received a lot of resumes more and more often where half of the resume is just the classwork that they've done and bolded all of the chemistry, or their biochem major, and it's not necessarily the application isn't written for the position, for example. Make sure that you know what you're applying for and you stress those skills. So if it is a QC position or something where organization and analytical skills are required, make sure that you stress organization, that you keep a clean, tidy office or volunteer, or that you're good with analytical or math, and you might want to stress your math or your calculus in instances like that. The big turnoff, again, is not being prepared for an interview. We all get late, right, for some things that we're supposed to be. So politely call if you're going to be late. Most employers, I understand if something goes wrong, but be prepared.
Things to avoid in an interview are 1 or 2 sentence answers. You know, if you have all this experience on your resume, but you're not able to describe it to me clearly and succinctly, I don't know that you actually know what you did in that lab. So along the same lines, to be able to explain what you did, why you did it, what the outcomes were, what that means, and try to avoid vague, nebulous sentences in an interview. And it's so much easier today to get background information on the company and maybe even the specific business unit or branch, a company that you're interviewing for. Which leads me to the other way that I like to see differentiation is ask questions. It shows curiosity. It might show some of that spark. If you can ask more questions than your interviewer asks, I think you're doing pretty good. And honestly, listen to the answer, and if there's anything you can follow up on, that'll even reinforce it even more. Things to avoid during an interview, again, would be the 1 or 2 sentence replies. And things to avoid early in your career is being shy, going in, doing your job, and going home. Never volunteering to go that extra effort, take on the extra duty. Never willing to ask the question in a crowded room. Those are things to avoid because it shows that you're bringing a limited skill set to the table.
One thing I always I always ask an interviewee is, what's the biggest error, biggest mistake you had, and that impacted somebody else, and how did you deal with it? Because it shows that you take ownership for your actions, and then what do you do afterwards? Is it like, forget about those people, I'm just looking out for myself, or is it, do you look to try to resolve? Because when you work in a lab, especially a smaller lab, it's not just getting the work done, there's those relationships that you have to build with your coworkers, that team. And so we want to make sure that you will fit within that team and also play like a team player.